Every time we get a crow into our hospital, everyone always decides to name it Russell. Hi, how's it going? Lovely to see you. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Right, so this is our new visitor and education centre. Can you believe we just finished building it 3 months ago?
Wow, it's so shiny.
It
looks
is,
great.
brand spanking new.
Yeah.
This is the education space. So obviously an organisation like SANCCOB, it's really important for us to, you know, convey messages about environmental education and the importance of the marine ecosystem. So this is where lessons have been taking place. There's taxidermies here and little microscopes for them to see.
Wow.
And then they can sit in here doing a bit of colouring and so on and look into this enclosure and see the penguins.
That's so cool.
So we often joke, we're not sure how much of the lesson they listen to because they're distracted by the penguins here.
But I feel like, you know, that this is the most important generation to reach. And I always love when you accidentally learn something. When it's fun and it's engaging, you get to watch them and then you see kids, they pick up these little gems of knowledge along the way and it's so important. Wow.
So these are our African penguins.
Okay.
Some of them in this enclosure are non-releasable. So some of them have injuries or ailments that make them not possible to go out into the wild. So they form part of our education and awareness program, but also in here we have what we call long-term freeloaders, if you like.
Penguin resort.
Yes,
yeah,
it is
very
like a
nice.
resort.
How many do you get any given year, or does it fluctuate depending?
It does fluctuate, but because the African penguin is now listed as critically endangered, the numbers are drastically declining and we're seeing less and less every year. But typically we'll admit about 1,000 African penguins every year and then about 1,000 other sort of flying seabirds as well. So our work is absolutely necessary and this building is relevant. So just on that note, I wanted to show you just our reach, you know. So we have this building in Cape Town. So we have that marked on the map here in Cape Town. So from the Eastern Cape around Cape Town and then up to southern Namibia, that's where the African penguin's breeding range is. And so the Eastern Cape used to have the stronghold of African penguins, but now over the last 5 years or so, that's totally changed. And the biggest colony has now become one of the smallest colonies. And that's largely due to a lack of food availability, but also things like marine expansion, underwater noise pollution and things like that.
The key to conservation is first and foremost walking the walk, but also talking the talk. Also bringing what you do and having, as you say, that engagement so that, you know, when people are seeing and understanding that you're out there rescuing these animals, all of a sudden it creates that sort of societal responsibility. Yeah, and you go, hang on a minute, we need to protect these guys,
So Robert and Vera, this is where penguins and other seabirds would be brought in. The rehab team and the clinical vet would be here waiting. They'd have everything set up as they have done now. And they would go through a whole process of evaluating each bird. So the primary reason for penguins being admitted, especially lately, is a lack of food, as I mentioned earlier. So we're seeing emaciated, really underweight penguins. And that's because there's competition with the commercial fishing industry for sardine and anchovy, which is the primary aid source. There are less than 10,000 pairs in the world, so that's Namibia and South Africa. In South Africa, we have just over 8,000 people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think the issue is not it's not locally issue. It's not the not enough habitats and the food fodder. It's not can be solved locally, and I think that's why it's very difficult, because the only way that you can influence on the policy, on the national policy, to see how they regulate the commercial fishing. And
I mean, this work we've been doing is so important. You know, we don't want to turn around in 5 years' time and have any regrets. We want to know that we're doing absolutely everything that we can. An African penguin, an adult, should weigh around 3 kilograms, you know. We admitted one last year that was 1.6 kilograms.
Whoa.
So about half the
Half
body
less, yeah.
mass. And you can really see the keel bone at the front sticking through sharp, and just so emaciated that it's anemic, and the vet has to do a blood transfusion, and there's emergency treatment to try and pull it through. It's full of parasites, of course, and things like that. So we throw all resources at every penguin because the conservation status is so severe, but that does put a lot of pressure, you can imagine, on us as well.
Absolutely.
So we believe that the problems in the wild need to be addressed for us to be as successful as possible with sending birds back out there. Typically, each bird will have an X-ray. So we have an X-ray room here. Oh, cool. You're more than welcome to go in and check it out.
Thank you so much.
It's very small. So
Yes.
this is the monitor on the right, and then the actual X-rays at the back.
Oh, yeah, okay, really cool.
And you can see this is a penguin X-ray.
Excellent.
So this is actually a new X-ray machine that we've just installed, and the vet is absolutely over the moon.
Of course,
It's
because it solves so many questions and issues now that to have this. Yeah.
And the thing is, you can feel a penguin's leg, but they have quite thick bones, and it might feel like a fracture or that there's something not quite right. And then the X-ray is just this really special tool that can confirm whether it's a fracture or not. And I just want to show you our surgery because I think it is worth seeing. We have a full-time vet who does a lot of surgeries in this room. So we have a sterile surgery that side, and that's where the fracture repairs would happen. But this room is really where a lot of the wounds are cleaned out. We see a lot of seal predation injuries and shark predation.
Oh, you've got an awesome setup here. Really cool. Really, really cool.
We outside. We outside.
Is we put them on a prescribed schedule of swimming every day, but it's obviously built up over time because they're weak from being in ICU and having to receive treatment. So these penguins here are now sort of out of the woods, if you can call it that. They may still be receiving medication, but they are definitely healthy enough to go and swim in the pools. And every week we release penguins back into the wild. Normally on a Thursday.
Wow.
But we, depending on weather conditions, because obviously we have to check, high sea swells are not good for penguins. It has to be calmer weather. But we try to release every week, and our volunteers are able to go on releases and actually see these birds going back into the wild.
And I guess you also have the same monitoring system to see how they survive after being released. Yeah.
So we have that transponder system.
Yeah.
And we also work with BirdLife with a weighbridge. So this weighbridge is attached to the transponder ground reader. And the penguins, as they're entering the ocean, they jump onto this weighbridge. So we get their weight before they go out and forage. And then when they come back, the weight is recorded. So that's one of the ways that we can evaluate how much food are they actually finding. Sometimes it's not very positive news because they're simply not finding enough food. And during breeding time, this is when, the two parents cooperate and they take it in turns. So the one stays with the chick or the egg and the other goes out to feed. Now, if that other parent isn't finding enough food, we've looked at sort of 20 to 30 kilometers, then they have to expend more energy and take
and go
extra
further
risks and go further looking for food. And what we have seen is that the other parent can't wait that long and will abandon the chicks.
Okay.
So this is where we're seeing a lot of abandonment issues because of the circumstances. They're just simply hungry and they're not able to wait for the partner to come back.
All stems back to overfishing. It all comes back to the same issue. Wow. Yeah.
So the volunteers are a critical part of our work. We are so blessed to have a very nice international volunteer program and interns where hopefully we inspire these people to become our future conservationists. I mean, we really do need future generations who
And
continue our
I'm
work.
always talking about like it's important to work with the public because even they're not going for conservation. For example, some of them go to work for the government, and maybe these people would take decision about the future policy on the fishery, on the industry development, and they would be always keep in the mind the penguin story behind all the actions we plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
plants to see.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much, Robert and Vera. I've really enjoyed showing you our work and what we do at SANCCOB. Let's just go and check out some of these penguins here.
Thank you so much.
We outside.